What's up, everyone, and welcome to our post E3 coverage. With me today, I've got Austin Miller, Trevor Bradley, Drew Shishley. I'm Corey Foster. I got one question for you guys, really. That's all this video is going to be about. Who won E3 2016 out of Microsoft and Sony? We'll start with you, Miller.
All right. This was a tough one because I'm biased towards Xbox, clearly. But I'm going to say Sony did.
Okay.
I think Xbox's conference was Microsoft, my bad. Microsoft. This conference was excellent. The middle was kind of a little boring, but I think they picked it up in the end with the Project Scorpio. And I think that's one of their points that I think they did better than Sony. Yeah. I think Sony not having the PS 4K or whatever you want to call it, they're at least say something about it, like acknowledge it. I think that I know they acknowledge it, but I'm saying, come on, like
at E3,
something at E3,
like a title card or something.
Yeah, I think that was kind of a mistake, but I think Sony's press conference was pedal to the metal from the start. Like I said before, it was just trailers and gameplay, and they didn't have anything that I didn't want to buy right away.
Trevor?
Okay, well, this is my personal opinion. I'm also biased. I've been a PlayStation guy since PS2. So I will say easily Sony won. But and that's just my opinion. I think if you kind of look at it unbiased, it's pretty close. Like, they measured up pretty well. Like, both had great conferences. Like he mentioned, like, Microsoft was great. It kind of had a lull in the middle. And I know they were trying to showcase some of their VR titles and some of their, I guess, more indie-ish titles, which is good. It's great to do. But I think they spent, like, a little too much time, like you mentioned, with that Eagles game. Like, they didn't have to play a full match. They could have showed, like, a little clip. But I think Sony, I thought they just blew it out of the water. Like you said, they just pedaled the metal from the start. It was just trailer after trailer. And like I said, like, the beginning, like, they started off with so many great games. And I was like, how are they going to end it? Like, if they're going to try and end on a big final note, like, what do they have left? And they just kept pumping out more. So I thought it was great. I did like that it was just trailer to trailer. I do think they probably still could have gotten away with having a developer come out and talk a little bit more often. Just give them a little more credit, you know?
Sure.
Maybe a little more screen time. But it wouldn't have had to been long enough to, like, disrupt the show. I think they could have gotten away with that. But I still think they had the better show.
So, if you look at everything that was announced and you compare the two, Microsoft announced quite a bit more, actually, than Sony. I mean, quite a bit more. Like, in my notes here, it's about twice as long of a list. So they had the numbers. Now, I'll give you my conclusion right here. I think Sony wins. But I think if you're rating it on a number system, I think it's almost like Sony 10 and then Microsoft 9.6, 9.7, something like that. I mean, you're talking about A and A+. Just neck and neck right there. But I do think Sony wins because they came out with these games from developers that you haven't heard from a long time. So, I mean, that specifically what I mean there is Sony Ben's game. I mean, that one is huge. And then you also hear about Hideo Kojima's game, slightly, a little bit, whatever exists there. You get this huge nostalgia factor that's going to come off of these Crash remasters. And I just don't think that the number of games that Microsoft announced today, I don't think it equates to the things that Sony announced.
It seemed like the Sony games were like new games that had so much great potential to be just amazing games, you know?
Yeah.
I don't think there's a game in their lineup besides like Lego Star Wars that I wasn't at least mildly interested in.
Right.
So I could like rent all of these. I'll probably buy a lot of these. Like I felt like all of them were definite.
Well,
at least a maybe.
It's also like Resident. I guess the thing that strikes me the most is with Sony's games, there was so much unknown. Whereas with Microsoft, it seems like there's so much known. We already know about Gears. We already knew about ReCore. We already knew about Halo Wars 2. And
Which,
then,
I mean, they all look great.
They
Like,
did.
those still look like great
but
games.
they look fantastic. But there's something special about the unknown.
Yeah.
And I personally think that gives Sony the edge this year.
Yeah.
What do you think, Drew?
I think Sony won.
Okay.
Definitely.
Definitively.
Yeah. Don't get me wrong though. Microsoft, they have good things announced. Both consoles announced. That's great, and the games are great. ReCore, Scalebound, showing more of those. That was great. But it's just the way that Sony presented their press conference that it just
That orchestra music got
the
you,
orchestra
huh?
was so great.
Yeah, that
though.
was beautiful.
It was the whole thing was great, and with being back to back with the games, that was. And it's like, oh, here's Hideo Kojima, here's Resident Evil, and here's Crash Bandicoot remasters. It just the way they presented it just so quick. It was just really good. I
It
think.
was so quick that he couldn't slow down his walk.
Yeah,
Stay on that.
he did
on
not
that
stay on
bridge.
the.
It's so fast.
He was building.
I did love that though, because that's totally Hideo Kojima.
is.
He
Do
just
it, man.
doesn't care.
Yeah.
I mean, he's like, I'm
Yeah.
Hideo. I'll
It
do
looked
whatever I want.
cool and made sense for a little bit. And then he was like,
Yeah.
I'm just walking on the air now.
Yeah. Well, that's what we think about E3 2016. We all think that Sony won pretty heavily. Let us know down in the comments below what you guys think. This should be about it for our E3 coverage this year. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it if you made it this far with us. But thank you, and we'll see you guys next time.